Hi, and thanks for joining me. Angie Hayes here, and this is the second video in my video series on relationships and infidelity. And in this video, I'm talking to anyone out there who has discovered that their partner is having an affair. First of all, let me start by saying I've been here, so I really understand and have empathy with, shall I say, some of what you are going through. I know we all have slightly different circumstances, but I've been here, and I know in my particular case, I felt so devastated, disappointed, let down. I felt like a rug had been pulled out from underneath me. The bottom had fallen out of my world. I trusted this person. Other people knew about it. I was the last person to find out. I felt stupid. All sorts of conflicting stuff going on. I just felt utterly overwhelmed and devastated. So it might be difficult for you to understand what to do next and how to deal with it. So I'm hoping that this video will help in some way and give my view or my perspective, shall we say, not my advice, this is just my perspective on some ideas and tips and hints for how to deal with the next steps that you have ahead of you. So the major part of your overwhelm is going to be fear. Yeah, it's going to be fear of the unknown. What the hell's going to happen in the future? You thought your life was going to be carrying on in a certain way, and now you're not sure where the hell it's going to end up. There may be children involved, there may not. It is an extremely difficult time. But within this whole crappy situation that you find yourself in, if we stand back and look at this from as logically a perspective as we can, you've got two decision points in this situation. The first one comes now. Yeah. The first one is, do you say nothing or do you let them know you know? So before we make that decision, the first thing you need to address is that the fact that you need to accept on some level that change is now going to be inevitable. Because if you just let the relationship go back to the way it was before, if this person is prepared to come back to the table and speak to you, they did that for a reason. So something fundamentally has to change within the relationship to prevent that person feeling they needed to stray in the first place. The whole relationship, the basis of your relationship has changed, and the first thing you need to do is accept that point, because you will cling on to the hope that everything can just go back to the way it was, and that's perfectly natural to do that. But as much as we want that on some level, in reality, that is not going to happen, and that is not the case, and that's not going to be the thing that works for you going forward. Second thing is just check in with you. You know, what do I mean by check in with you? You're going to find this hard, but when you get some headspace and some bandwidth, I want you to sit down with a nice cup of tea or coffee, take some time out to reflect and think about what is truly going to make you happy, because only you are the only person on this planet that knows what makes you happy. So I want you to look to the future, and I know that's hard where you are now, but please just do this for me. It's really important. Look to the future and think about, one, what type of person is going to make you happy? What are they like? How do they behave? How do they treat you? What are their values? What are the things they do that are important to you? How do you want to be treated? And what sort of life do you want with this person? How does that life look? What do you have shared interests that maybe you don't have with your current partner, or you've stopped being involved with? Do you have shared interests? Do you finding new things to do together? Do you like traveling together? All of those things that are important to you in the future. And then the third thing you need to think about in this future is, what version of you do you want to be? Have you lost touch with yourself? Have you become unrecognizable? Because this can happen sometimes to us when we care too much about the needs of another person that we forget attending to our own needs and what's important to us. We lose our sense of self-worth, and then we start morphing into somebody different. So it's important for you to think about what version of you would be. Would you be back to being happy, smiley you who wasn't complaining all the time, or the person that was really gregarious who stopped going out because they got so much shizzle going on in their life? Yeah, so just think about that. I promise you, this is a really good starting point for you, even though I know you don't feel like doing it just yet. But please bear with me. I've been here and I did this, and this is how I got myself through it. Before I go on, I just want to mention children, because I have many friends and I've known many people who've stayed in a relationship for the sake of their kids. And I will just say a few things about that. It's very laudable, and you know, I admire people that do that, absolutely. And that's fine. But what could happen is at some point in the future, when your kids are grown up and hopefully they'll be going off to have happy, thriving relationships of their own and lovely lives, doing whatever they want to do, but you're going to be left with that person in your life in those later years. So just be clear about what you are going to be landed with at that time and whether that is right for you for those later years of your life. And this is why that future exercise can be really powerful and helpful to help you formulating some kind of ideas about which way to go with this. Also, some people, when they make this decision to stay for the sake of their children, they can be really adult about this, which is great. I have the greatest of respect for people that do this, because for them, their children's success and happiness means everything, and I totally get that. And if you can be adult and role model really good behaviours to your children, relationship behaviours, that's great. But if you can't and you're always arguing, what message does that send out to kids about committed relationships? You know, kids don't need two people for stability. They need one stable parent. They don't need two unstable parents. That's the last thing they need. And the problem is when you're constantly arguing and you don't have an adult environment where kids know what's going on and you can sit down and you can speak to them about what's going on truthfully, they will assume things and they will start to worry. Their assumptions will go overboard, because we all know what we're like when we don't know what's going on. We start making up a story of our own and thinking the worst case scenario. So if you're thinking about your children, just be very careful. It's going to take a lot of commitment to present a united front that doesn't impact them, because kids aren't stupid. They pick up on this stuff. So I just want to put that into your awareness. Okay, so back to decision point then. You either decide to endure or you decide to let him know you know. If you decided to endure, I'm not here to judge you. That's entirely your decision. It may fizzle out. The decision could be taken out of your hands if you decide to endure, and they may leave you anyway. And you'll constantly be in that place where you have no control, but it's your choice and it's your life. And I'm not here to judge you. I will always hold space for you in that situation, because everyone's set of circumstances is very different. If you've decided to let them know you know, I hate giving advice, but on this occasion, I am going to pop in a snippet of advice, because I didn't handle this part very well at all, I must say. I did it from a place of anger and raw emotion, and it wasn't pretty. So what I will say is, don't confront the situation when you're angry or emotional. Why? Because you're giving all your power away to that other person, because they could say, oh, see, this is what you get like. You get really stupid and you're making stories up and you're emotional and you can't handle it and blah, 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 blah. And you're just handing all your power away. you're more likely to end up with a nasty scenario that's just going to make you feel worse about yourself. So, and it gives your partner the opportunity to chuck everything straight back at you and blame you. Well, it's your fault I'm like this. No wonder I've gone off with someone else because this is the way you behave. You're over the top. So, have you ever seen the film Love Actually? Because there's a wonderful scene in Love Actually. If you haven't seen the film, go watch it. Please go watch it. It's a fantastic film, even if you haven't seen it. There's a scene where Emma Thompson's character confronts Alan Rickman's character. Alan Rickman plays a part of a man who owns a business, and he has a bit of a flirtation with a young lady in the office. He buys her a gold necklace for Christmas. He gets kind of hoodwinked into doing it. But Emma Thompson finds out about the necklace and realizes he hasn't given it to her for Christmas. So she puts two and two together and realizes that her suspicions are confirmed. But the way she confronts him is amazingly powerful, because she actually asks him a question. And she asks him, what would you do if you were me and you were in this situation? What if it was just a necklace, or sex in a necklace, or even worse, love in a necklace? Would you stay, or would you cut and run? Now, I'm not saying that you may get a wonderful response to that, but actually asking that question of asking someone to put themselves in your position, you let them know what's going on, but you also get them to think about how that is impacting you. And if you're calm and measured when you do that, they can't then come back and blame you. Now, that doesn't mean they may not try, and it depends very much on the person you're dealing with and whether you're dealing with an adult or a child. So you could get a myriad of responses, but they probably fall into one of these three broad categories, okay? You might get that response that hopefully you're looking for, which is the one I talked about in my first video, the apology, the evidence that they're taking responsibility and they want to work things through with you. If you get that response, then you have an adult in the room. Or you could get one of these responses: denial, blame, blaming you, telling you you're ridiculous and you're making it up, deflecting and going on about other things that have happened in the past. But all of that sort of relationship type of stuff is to deflect and is basically emotionally immature. So we're dealing with a child here, aren't we? Then you might get this response, and you normally get this from a person who's a serial cheater. This was my dad's stock response to my mum when she confronted him about his N millionth affair. It was, well, it's not as easy as that. I'm confused. I love both of you and I can't make a decision at the moment. And I need time to work it out. There's another emotionally immature response. So we're dealing with another child, because they clearly don't have any or enough respect for your feelings in the matter. And they're just expecting you to put up with it. So they don't highly value you if they come back with that response. How you choose to deal with that is your choice. I'm not here to judge you. My mum stayed with my dad till the bitter end. That was her choice, and I don't judge her for that. So depending on that response, you've got another decision point now, haven't you? Yeah, to leave them behind, quit, cut and run, or wait in the hope that things run their course. And I have to ask you this question then: if you go away and do that future exercise that I asked you to do, does the response you have bear any evidence to that person you want to spend your life with? Is there any resemblance there? And can you be at your best with this type of person in your life? It's really powerful, isn't it? When you think about it in those terms, Is this really what I want? Because that's what I found. When I did that exercise, I actually knew and understood that trust was really important to me, and the trust had been broken. And he wasn't prepared to do any work. He blamed me. It was all my fault. He wasn't having an affair anyway, when I had plenty of evidence to the contrary, which was it was absolutely undisputable evidence, by the way. It wasn't just a gut feeling, but was still prepared not to take any responsibility. And I thought, I don't need this child in my life anymore. This is going to hurt, but he has to go. I just couldn't be doing it anymore. I don't want to do the work with him. I still loved him. And it was a very hard decision, because love, you can't just switch off that love for somebody that you have. But the respect went overnight when I saw that response. And it took me a couple of weeks to fathom all this out. But I decided to quit for that reason, because he didn't match the future that I wanted at all. Neither option is easy. Neither choice is going to be easy. You're going to need courage. You're going to need resilience. And you're going to need support. And that support doesn't necessarily mean seeking help outside of your immediate circle of friends. You may feel you need to go for some counselling or some different form of therapy, or you may just be able to talk things through with friends, have a little time out, but speak to people who you love and trust, and who love and trust you and know you and won't judge you for anything you decide. My top 3 suggestions, just whichever way you decide to go, my top 3 suggestions are, first and foremost, in this time, whether you decide to endure it or you decide to go, take care of you. Put yourself as a priority number 1. Yeah. Make time to go out when you can. Catch up with your friends. Keep trying to have a little bit of exercise, sleep as well as you can, eat as well as you can. Do all of those things that you need to do to focus on becoming, just step by step, gradually, that future version of you that you want to be when you're at your absolute best, when you haven't got all this shizzle going on around you. This is going to be a journey. And you're going to need support. So the second thing is, confide in someone you love and trust. Yeah. It helps to have someone there who understands you and doesn't judge you for whatever you decide to do, but that you can talk to. The thing I'll ask you not to do, point number 3, especially if you decide to stay and endure the situation, is to complain, is to be focusing on everything your partner is doing with the other person, everything they have done, everything they haven't done. For sure, you're going to talk about some of that, but don't make it your main focus. Make your focus you, because all that time you're putting energy into them, you're not putting energy into you and becoming that wonderful, amazing little legend I know that you can be. Another important thing, just one final point. Yeah. If you do all this work on yourself, just imagine you do all this work on yourself and you start becoming that best version of you. It doesn't necessarily mean that your partner might come back if you decide to endure things, but it might just make them see that there's a lot more to you, and you're starting to get your old self back, and it may just help them to see that maybe they've made a bit of a mistake and they should have worked on this with you, because you are starting to become that person. If you decide to endure this, try to do it in a way that helps you to thrive with it, rather than becoming so embroiled in it that you're losing all sense of your own significance. So I've left you with a lot to think about. Please consider when you stopped watching this video to do that future exercise, because I think it's a huge benefit to helping you make your decisions going forward and making informed decisions that come from a place of reflection and not a place from emotional reaction. I hope this has helped you. I remember vividly the feelings I had when this happened to me, and I wouldn't wish them on anyone. So if you are going through this, I'm sending you love, and I will hold space for you, and I will hold you in my prayers and thoughts, my darlings, and I hope you do whatever is best for you in this situation. Take very good care of yourselves, my little loves. Huge kiss and hugs. And I'll see you in the next video, where I'm going to be talking more to those people who are in more than one relationship, but are uncomfortable about it and don't know what to do. So until then, take very good care. Bye-bye.